Hey everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of This Woman Can. And as I said, I want to bring you thoughts and news and guidance from experts in certain areas when it comes to women of color, mid-career women of color and their careers. Now, I read a report recently by the National Center for Education Statistics that Black women have been obtaining degrees at a consistently higher level for the last 8 years and counting. And the information collected about higher education amongst African Americans between 2009 and 2010 showed that Black women accounted for 68% of associate degrees, 68% of bachelor's degrees, and 71% of master's degrees, and 65% of doctorate degrees during that time frame. And whilst these numbers pertain to the US, chances are that similar statistics will emerge for other countries when it comes to Black women and education. Black women, in my experience, are the most educated, qualified women working on the premise that they have to work twice as hard to be recognised at work, or how I was raised, the need to be 10 times better than our Caucasian counterparts. Yet when it comes to changing careers, one of the first thoughts that women have is that they need further qualifications, which quite often comes with a considerable financial commitment, and maybe on top of the debt already accrued for their current education. Now, my guest today is no stranger to student debt. Briana Franklin is founder, president, and CEO of the Prosperity Project. She is a businesswoman, philanthropist, and student debt expert, thought leader with a passion for socioeconomic and holistic empowerment of Black girls and women. Having taken on a financial burden that eventually ballooned to nearly $120,000 in student debt through her undergraduate studies at Dartmouth College, Bree developed an acute appreciation for the challenges many student debt holders experience, including diminished ability to establish financial independence, the opportunity to take advantage of personal freedoms, such as starting a family, buying a home, launching a business, as well as creditworthiness. In recognition of the extent to which other Black women in particular experience adversity at the hands of the $1.7 trillion student debt crisis, as well as lack of financial literacy, she formed the Prosperity Project as a solution for eradicating these systemic barriers. Bree, welcome to This Woman Can.
Thank you. It's awesome to be here, and thank you for making time for this conversation.
No, it's a really important one to have. And as I said, one of the biggest reasons I always find that women tell me the challenge they have about changing careers is normally some sort of financial aspect. But tell us more, Bree, about the Prosperity Project and the work you do.
Yeah, so our organization is a nonprofit, and our focus is you've alluded to, is helping college-educated Black women with outsized student debt, which we define to be $40,000 or greater, to give them, tools to improve their socioeconomic plight. And we have a program that we've launched called the 35 to Free Initiative, which gets its name from the two core statistics at the heart of our work, which are $35 billion in student debt that Black women hold under that $1.7 trillion umbrella.
Right.
And a 35% financial literacy rate, which is the worst of any demographic. So we are very, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed at, being able to resolve this crisis. Like, also, as you've explained, I've lived it firsthand. And so that is really what channeled like a deeper interest into solving this problem for the masses, and not just, how do I clear this bar for my own sake, but what can I do to make things better systemically and help other Black women who may not stand the same chance, may not have the same levels of, community and network and education and resources that I've had to be able to lean on to figure this problem out.
Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Now, student debt is normally associated with millennials, but as you know, my target audience is that Black woman over 40, mid-career, probably have accrued some debt. And as I said, looking to change careers and stuff like that. How much does the student debt impact women over 40?
Oh, man. So, we've studied it in terms of the financial capital available. So the statistics are that Black women, by decade, it's like their average lifetime net worth is between $0 and $11,000 because Black women have an average of a debt to income ratio of, I think, 111% of their income is consumed by student debt. So to make that very plain, that means that we quite literally owe more than we can afford. And just segmented by, the decades, like by the, in the 20s, Black women have an average net worth of $0. I believe that shoots up to like, gosh, I'd have to look back at it because I've just seen it as like the 0 to 11,000 like conglomerate. But I know that 11,000 figure is for those who are of retirement age, like, 60s or so. So, I mean, a decade beyond then, like over 40, it's certainly not more than about like 8,500. So it has like major ramifications because white women and women of other races by that point have six-figure net worths, right? They've been able to put money away for the nest egg, look at retirement, step away from the daily 9-to-5 grind, and they can just, like live off the money that they've earned in those years prior. So it's very startling for sure at all ages.
And why do we think, I mean, we were talking about it and you're doing a great job at highlighting some of the challenges. But what do you think some of the biggest challenges women have when it comes to asking or seeking for support in this area, the financial literacy area, for instance?
Totally. I think part of it is there's this sense of shame, like, gosh, I should know this. Like I'm 25, I'm 35, 45. I should know about Roths and 401ks and hedge funds and mutual funds and all those things. And I think because like we see our peers again of other races, this was dinner table fodder. A lot of people that we talked to who, were white American, they're like, yeah, I really took for granted the fact that my dad worked like on Wall Street and was able to just bring that knowledge home directly and set me up for success. And I think that's really what it comes down to is we are disproportionately being set up for failure. And so people carry that as like a badge of shame and like, I'm just so embarrassed that I don't know more, that I can't explain this to my children. And so just being able to like unpack that, it takes a lot of courage and it can just be really hard when you're being admonished and there's finger wagging going on and there's people saying, oh, get a grip. Like, it's on you to learn this, take some accountability instead of saying, we're not going to shame you for your past. Like, you're here now, you're eager to learn. Like, I'm happy to lend my resources. I'm happy to lend that knowledge that you're asking for and help you figure it out.
Right, great. And as you're sitting there thinking, as you're talking, I'm thinking, I'm not that. I know little bits and pieces. I've had debt when I was much younger, as a single parent and stuff like that, and I've found my way out and the hard way. But when it comes to things like maybe stocks and shares, accruing wealth, I think I'm a little hazy on that, or maybe even a little risk averse, should I say? It's that's probably my knowledge. So I think having some more knowledge about how we can, divulge ourselves some debt and how we can accumulate more wealth is definitely a way to get a conversation that needs to be had.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Regardless of the age, I'm glad you're speaking out and saying, like, don't just assume that everyone over like 35 is mastering this, because in our community, like that's something that we, for our upcoming conference that we plan in the spring, like deciding on the programming, a lot of our advisory ship wanted us to actually axe the further along track. They were like, no, like we don't need to spread ourselves too thin and try to boil the ocean. And I'm like, I hear that, but I think there's absolutely no harm in just opening that up, because it doesn't even have to be contained by age. There can be 20-year-olds who are just curious and they just want to learn about wills and the things that come, like traditionally at a later stage in life. And so I think, but also, we've gotten a lot of interest from Black women who are 40 and up, 50 and up, and they're just like, this would appeal to me so much. And I just haven't seen it presented in a place and in a way that's like catered to me. Like, there's a lot of ageism, unfortunately, and it just tends to like discount that whole demographic. And so I am just a personal advocate of still keeping it intact. And, even if we don't have a full out program like we do for our 25 to 35-year-old cohort, still just at least being inclusive of that community.
So you mentioned your conference, which I hadn't touched on to it, but I'm going to go into it now. So tell us a little bit more about the conference, what's coming up, when it is, what particularly the women of my demographic that I'm looking at can expect.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So this is our second annual 35 to Free conference. So it's, of course, akin to the program, and it borrows the name, and it's definitely an extension of that work. We've formulated it as a tool to, of course, bring in sponsorship funds to help us, get the program off the ground and operate, but also a way to recruit those who would like to learn more about our 35 to Free initiative, potentially apply when the application reopens, and also just people who are supporters and feel like they are among this community of burgeoning Black women, next gen leaders that are looking to turn the tide on the financial literacy rates and also just status, of our community, both here in the US and internationally. Like last year, we had people from 9 different countries, I believe, register, which is really exciting. So it's open to all for sure. But of course, the focus is on meeting Black women's unique needs and vantage points. So our programming is chock full with beautiful and talented Black women speakers. We have Christine Simmons, actually, who is the COO of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, which does the Oscars. She just recently agreed to be our opening keynote, which is exciting. And then we have a few other folks in the works. So we're just waiting on those hard yeses before we publicize, but it's supposed to be a day full of panels and workshops. So it's interactive. We don't believe in just talking at our audience all day long. We want to make it engaging and give them things that are actually valuable and that they can apply in real time and then take home and use to grow their skills. And we also have, a fun Jeopardy game that we'll play later on in the day. So it's a really exciting event, and it's 100% virtual. So while we are unfortunately not able to come together in person and have like the full spark of an in-person gathering, we will still, do our best to make it lively and fun and all the things, that we can do to honor the virtual format.
Excellent. And when is it?
Yes, Thursday, May 19th. From 8 a.m. Pacific time, which is 11 Eastern time, to 2 p.m. / 5 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, just try and get those time zones worked out. And how can women find out more about it?
Yeah, so our website is, we actually had to put it up there. Thank you for the reminder. Like, we have the event page on Eventbrite for registration, so we'll link that there. But there's a page on our website that will be posted very, very shortly. The Prosperity Project, and that's prosperity with an A.org. So it's PROSPARITY. And we have the registration link open. So right now tickets are on sale. They are $20 a piece, and then 2 for 20 or 2 for 35.
Okay.
And then that's the early bird. So then come March 22nd, we'll go into regular admission all the way through the end of April, and then last call come May. So definitely snap them up while they are the cheapest.
Yeah, and it's, so just thinking out loud, it's a great idea just to get, to take advantage of the discount and get a few women together. To join, have the conversation and join in on the event. Now, before I let you go, I've got a different order of my questions, so I had a couple more questions for you.
Sure.
So what advice? I'm speaking particularly for my target audience. What advice can you share with women who maybe want to change career direction, but feel impeded by student loan debt?
Yeah, so trust and believe, been there, and I am speaking 1000% from a place of, knowledge and expertise here. But I also want to acknowledge that I know that like things are rarely one size fits all solutions. So I can really only speak from my vantage point. But what worked for me was just sitting down and accepting my situation, because, I was about 23 when I found out exactly how much debt I had. That was a year after graduating. And that's when I took stock and saw that it was that $116,000 figure. And immediately I just was like, no way. Like, there's just, I don't know what to tell these loan collectors. Like, they made a mistake in giving me all this money, because there's no way in heck I'm going to be able to pay them back before I, turn 70. There's just like, we're at an impasse here, right?
Yeah.
And so that attitude carried on with me for a couple months. And then it actually came to a head the following year when I had just retreated completely. And I was just like, there's no way I can afford these monthly payments of $750.
Wow.
And, I'm getting no help, right? Because my parents had co-signed, but they took the attitude of like, we helped you get the money to complete school, but it's on you to take responsibility and pay it off. So I just felt like, well, oh well. And so I actually let the debt go too long past due. It went more than 2 months. So it not only sank my credit personally by about 150 points, but it also dinged my dad's. And he had been warning me very vocally for the longest. He was like, my Ingrid, my stepmom, he's like, she and I are trying to refinance our house, so we have to have pristine credit. We cannot afford literally for this to come up as a red mark on my report. And so, I ended up letting the worst case scenario actually materialize. And he wrote me a very colorfully worded email to express his disappointment. And that day, I literally started making phone calls to what was it? Orange Theory and Athleta, because I had also been like a struggling entrepreneur the first time with a venture that was just not working out. And I was just in denial. I was like, I don't want to have to abandon this just to work, wherever, just to pay off these loans. But that's what it came down to. So I had to like swallow pride. I had to come to grips with the situation and accept it and stop running. And so I picked up 2 part-time jobs at Athleta and Orange Theory Fitness. And it was money. It was able to start paying off some of those smaller bills. And then I also had done the debt snowball method. So that was a huge help, and just making me feel like I was back in control, because it's like, I saw the numbers, I saw the interest rates, I saw the terms, like it was all organized and just way easier to process. So I had consumer debt and so many other debts beyond student debt. So just being able to knock out some of those early, really high interest, credit cards, my phone that I spread out over 2 years, right? It was like, they talk about the adrenaline of just those quick wins. It was like, or the endorphins rather. It's like, oh my gosh, like I can do it. I can get these things from around my neck. So just continuing with that momentum, like I have given my debt snowball actually many upgrades over like these last 2.5 years since I started using it, and just getting even more detailed with the types of the loans, like federal versus private, any conditions about certain programs that I was in that may be temporary, and just really, going back to feeling like I'm driving the wheel again, and I'm not being driven by this debt, but like I have the power to get rid of it. So I've just been like working very steadily, but also strategically, because I know that people often get tired of hearing just work hard and it'll all fall into place. Because I think that's just such a gross oversimplification. It's like, yes, there's a lot of hard work, but it's also like what I've called taking glass steps and taking calculated risks to, with the intention of increasing my earning potential. So it's like moving to California, where the minimum wage was twice what it was back in Georgia. That helped.
Right.
I was living rent free with a family friend, which was also helpful. And then, of course, once I started Prosperity, and like as the leader, being able to earn compensation wherever we could spot it, like that's also been really transformational. And it's also like the bonus of doing something that I love and finding my fit with a career path. So again, acknowledging that I know it's going to be a different story in every situation, but just to boil it down to the nuts and bolts, find a tool that'll be helpful for like just putting yourself in the driver's seat and taking control, and then do your best to, take calculated risks and raise your rate, as I like to say, your rate of earning.
And the thing I want to add to that is literally don't hide from it, because it's not going anywhere. It really won't go away. Burying your head in the sand thinking it'll go away, that doesn't work. So I think facing it head on is definitely a great piece of advice. So coming down to our last couple of questions, Bri, are there any success stories you can share from women being as part of the Prosperity Project?
Yeah, so we are planning to launch the first cohort in April, actually. So we are still on the front end of the success stories, but just even in the time that these prosperettes who have been so patient have been in the pipeline waiting, we've just been in constant conversation with them and just asking, like, what do you want to get out of this? And
Yeah.
how are you feeling right now? And, just in seeing all that we're trying to work on to help get you what you need, like, how does that land with you? And overall, it's been very positive. Like, they're incredibly gracious, and they're just like, the fact that you all are even doing something to help people like us is really outstanding, because unfortunately, like, we saw that there were just so many like debt relief programs that
Yeah.
seemed like, you had a higher chance of winning the lottery than to qualify for. It was like all these loopholes and red tape, and you have to work in this industry for 10 years before you would qualify. And so yeah, we just are, I guess, measuring success preemptively by the conversations that we're in with them, and just seeing that they even feel empowered, knowing that
Excellent.
this is what is in store, and just seeing like all these major players that we're going to be pairing them with as their financial coaches, like someone who's actually there to listen to them and guide them in a very personalized and intimate way. And it's not just generic one size fits all, read a book kind of advice. And then also the fact that we're approaching it from a career development standpoint, because we recognize that so many of them are pigeonholed into both low wage and actually high wage work. But it's like, I'm a firm believer in the correlation between loving what you do and fulfillment, and also, making more money as a result, if that's what you want for yourself. And so just being able to remove that gridlock, and then it's like, congratulations, like, you now have the decision power, and you're not beholden to your student debt as a factor for where to live, how long to live there, where to work, all these different things. So yeah, I would say just on the front end of everything, success is seemingly measured by, just the degree of like hope and excitement, and just the Prosperate still having faith in our program and in our ability to execute it.
Excellent. Thank you for that. And just so we finish off, just share again the details of the conference, dates, when and how they can get hold of tickets.
Yes. So Thursday, May 19th, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's Pacific time. So that's 11 to 5 Eastern.
Yeah.
Again, it's completely virtual, so anyone anywhere in the world is welcome to join. Tickets are currently on sale for the early bird round through March 22nd, and those are $20 for a single ticket, 2 for $35. So definitely encourage folks to look out and try to bring a friend if possible. Regular admission starts the 23rd and is going to be, oh gosh, it's on our Eventbrite page. I'm like totally out of it with the numbers. But yeah, just as we near the dates, we'll have more details about those other tiers. And then, yeah, it's, I think I mentioned it's virtual already.
Yeah.
We're hoping to get at least 500 attendees in the door.
Wow.
Last year we had 90. So I think for our first round, that was definitely passable, but we definitely, don't believe in getting complacent and want to reach even more people, right? Because it's like, we measure this by the success of the community and just the volume of people who take away from it. But we have some great speakers lined up. Again, Christine Simmons, COO of the Academy, which does the Oscars and all those really cool Hollywood things. So Janice is also going to be leading one of our workshops and further along, called Navigating and Disrupting Ageism in the Workplace. So definitely swing by if you can to check out her session. We'll also have before that a panel called Momtrepreneurship One-on-One. So lots of talent going to be packed into the further along track for sure.
Fabulous.
With a couple more great names in store that we will be announcing in the next few days. And yeah, we're on social media to promote it as well. We're at the Prosperity Project. Again, that's with an A on Instagram, Prosperity Proj on Twitter. We have a Facebook and LinkedIn presence as well. And then our website, of course, is theprosperityproject.org. So ticket information will be linked on our website. And then there's also a standalone Eventbrite registration page.
Excellent. And I'll be sure to make sure I take all those links and put them in the show notes. And for those of you listening who are thinking, well, no, is this for me? If you're a woman over 40, and looking at your student debt, or just want to get more financial literacy, this is definitely something for you, because they have a special track, targeted. You gave a special name, Briana. Remind what that was.
Further along,
the further along track, which is definitely targeted at you. Mm-hmm. So, Briana, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing that knowledge. I think everything we can do to help a woman, as you said, feel successful and happy in what they're doing in their careers. Mm-hmm. We're living a lot longer, and so we need to make sure we're happy in what we're doing. So all the work you're doing is really, really welcome. Thank you so much again for your time today.
Oh, thank you again for featuring me and, being willing to amplify this work and share it with your community. It means so much.
Thank you. So I am really looking forward to being part of the Prosperity Project conference coming up in May. And, we could discuss money and finances. And quite often what I found, however, that not moving ahead in our careers is sometimes a procrastination tactic, because at the back of our minds, we're intimidated by the real reason as to why we're fearful of making that change. And in my experience, money, when I've worked with women I've worked with, is offer a lesser reason than we give it credit. But the truth is, not apart from the fact that, we don't enjoy what we're doing, there's an actual cost of staying in a job that's unfulfilling, and it's much higher than most women actually realize. But you don't have to stay. You don't have to stay in that role. You don't have to think you have to be beholden to that particular career because you've invested so much money into it, because you feel you can't get away because of golden handcuffs. Now, I run a monthly program, the Change Your Career Without the Financial Fear program, a free monthly 5-day program that really takes you through looking at or thinking about how you can redefine your personal professional value, and the fact that you can invest in yourself now to make the best possible decisions for your future sooner rather than later. The program, as I said, it takes place every month. All you need to do is visit my website, janisutherland.com, for more details, to register, get on the wait list for the next time it comes round, and you'll get the opportunity just to challenge some of those career assumptions when it comes to you and your money. So we look at reaffirming what your true worth is, and that it's determined by more than just money, and break free from that fear that's keeping you stuck. And you'll get guidance and motivation to help you along with your career change. And it's all run by me. So feel free to head along to my website, janisutherland.com, for more details and get on the wait list. And as always, as I always say to you, remember, if I can, you can, this woman can. Take care until next time.